Hello, and welcome to this online presentation of the MA Philosophy, Philosophical Perspectives on Politics and the Economy. My name is Bruno Verbeek. I'm the program chair and also lecturer in ethics and political philosophy. And I'm joined by Laura Conway, who is an MA student in Philosophical Perspectives on Politics and the Economy, or 3PE, as you like to call it. That little picture on the side of the slide is the PEVET building, which is the building where philosophy has found its home, where most of your courses will be. And it overlooks the beautiful botanical garden, one of the oldest parts of this university. Okay, I'm going to say a few things in general about the program, about admissions, about some of the other services and opportunities that the university offers to MA students. And after that, Lola and I will talk about her experiences with the MA program so far. And after that, the floor is yours. You can ask all these questions online through the chat. We'll try and answer them as best as we can. Okay. In general, there are two MA programs in philosophy at Leiden University. There is a one-year program, which we call MA Philosophy 60 EC, or because we don't have a better name for it, basically. It has 5 specializations, and one of these specializations is Philosophical Perspectives on Politics and the Economy. In addition to this one-year program, there is a 2-year program, which, again, because we were stumped for a good name, we call MA Philosophy 120 EC, to indicate that it's a 2-year program. And it has 3 specializations: philosophy of humanities, philosophy of world traditions, and philosophy of law, governance, and politics. This presentation will be about the one-year program and only about the specialization 3PE, Philosophical Perspectives on Politics and the Economy. You can find online after the today recording of the presentation of the one-year program, and after this presentation at 5 p.m. there will be a presentation on the 2-year program, the Philosophy 120 EC. If you're interested in that, stay tuned and have a look at that one as well. Okay, 3PE. 3PE is for students with an undergraduate degree in philosophy, political science, public administration, international affairs, or related disciplines, who have become interested in what goes on behind current affairs. If you look at politics today and public discussions, it seems to be all over the place, it seems to be chaotic. At the same time, there are certain systemic and normative constancies behind this. And our program tries to help students to see those, analyze those, and where necessary, improve on those. So the 3PE is meant for students who are passionate about real-world dilemmas: capitalism or socialism, local well-being or global justice. Should we promote individual freedom or curtail it for the sake of social equality and stability? Should we resist unjust power or, on the contrary, assent to the wisdom of traditions, or something in between? Those are the sort of dilemmas and questions that we address in this program and help students gain a clear perspective upon. What does the program look like? It's very simple. Leiden follows a semester system where one semester is 13 to 14 weeks. You follow in the first semester of your studies, you follow the core seminar on, it's called Politics and Economy, Philosophical Foundations. And in addition to that mandatory core seminar, you choose 2 of the electives that are being offered. Assuming that you complete those and that you're happy with those, you continue in the second semester with 1 more elective, and you start writing your thesis. Thesis is quite an elaborate monster, 20 EC, but you don't do that on alone. You're individually supervised. And in addition to the individual supervision by one of our staff members, there's a thesis seminar where you sit together with fellow students and are sort of put through the rhythm of writing your thesis in time. Because there are some things that everybody shares, like the difficulty finding a good research question, how to formulate your topic, coming up with a good list of resources. Those sort of things are addressed in the thesis seminar. And this is to help you and pace you through the thesis writing process. So what are the electives? Well, these are the electives that are currently on offer. In the fall semester, we offer a course on freedom, justice, and equality, world capitalism and its critics, and ethics and economics. In the spring semester, apart from these courses, we go into more detail in the identity politics and global justice. There's a course on democratic theory, and there's a course on disobedience and resistance in all aspects, from individual to national to global. That's for the electives. How do you get in? This is always a topic that raises a lot of questions. Basically, admission requirements are very easy. Anybody with a Leiden BA in philosophy is directly admitted, no questions asked. Anybody else will, their application will go through a process through the admissions board. People with a BA philosophy from other Dutch universities are also usually admitted without any problem. If you have a BA in philosophy from a university abroad, the Board of Admissions will look very carefully at your transcript and see what's there, see what might be missing. We find that a lot of students with a background in political science, international relations, or public administration, things like that, are also interested in this particular specialization. They are also admissible, but very often the Board of Admissions will require them to do some additional coursework in order to fill the philosophical lacunae in their background. Basically, any other bachelor degrees with a substantial philosophy component is admissible. And I always have to say that when you file your application, you have to fill in lots and lots of details. One of the things that you have to fill out is which specialization or which track you're interested in. Then what happens is, after a certain process of consultation, the Board of Admissions comes back to you and you get a letter. And the letter will say one of three things. It could say, congratulations, you're admitted. What happened to you, yeah. Right? There's no questions asked. It could be that they say, congratulations, you're admitted, but we do find that you have one or two little gaps in your background. You need to fill it up. For example, suppose you'd never had a course in ethics in your background, then they will require you to take a course in ethics as well. You can already start a master, but you are what they call conditionally admitted. That is, you can only graduate upon the condition that you've also fulfilled those outstanding courses. The third thing that can do are that you get a letter and it says you're not admitted. Don't be disheartened. It's a very rude and direct message, and it has to do, for legal reasons, I have to formulate it like that. Continue reading the fine print that follows, because 9 out of 10 times what follows is individual advice by the Board of Admissions as to what you would need to do in order to qualify for admission. And very often what they say is you need to take a pre-master, or you need the following components from the pre-master, and once you have completed those, you're admissible to the MA. And that advice is purely individual. It's completely tailored to your specific background and your specific interests. So when you get that letter and it says you're refused, don't throw it away, don't start crying and be depressed. Read the letter very, very carefully, because 9 out of 10 times it tells you how you can get into it. Okay, that's for how to get into our program. Where do our graduates find jobs? Basically all over the place. I'm happy to say that quite a few of our graduates from the 3PE find a job in government or semi-government. But it's all over the place. Some work for NGOs, as you can tell, this is an overview from our job market survey from 2020, with various career people ended up after completing this program, including the light green bit research. Even some people of our program ended up doing a PhD in philosophy or applied philosophy. I always have to say this, what kind of preparation works for getting a future career? A university degree helps, but also really helps are internships, either in the Netherlands or abroad. But also helps is that you're very well aware and that you reflect on what kind of academic skills you acquire during the course. And finally, it also helps in finding, in terms of labor market preparation, is having interesting or relevant work experience during your studies. If you want to know more about what you could do already during your MA in order to orient yourself to the labor market or to prepare yourself for the labor market, have a look at the website. There's a link there to the Humanities Career Service. And they have all these wonderful resources, including the Mentor Network and the Career Zone website, where you can find all kinds of advice and help, finding interesting internships, for example, and from very concrete and specific help, for example, helping you draft a decent CV or a good application letter, to more general tests like what would be your interests or what are your specific skills. So that's something that the university offers. In addition, the university offers for many students, we have a very international student body and students from various international origins, like this one, cultural backgrounds. Many of those have no trouble finding their way in the university whatsoever. Others need a little bit of help or can find themselves a little bit lost. So for them, we have the Humanities Buddy Program, where people in a similar situation take you up. There is a huge department for students with a disability. They help you. You can also participate yourself in helping the university improve its inclusion efforts in the student advisory group. And there are the various D&I student networks. In addition, I'm told, Lola, but this may be foul rumor on my part, that there is a study association for international students.
Yes.
And they organize some kick-ass parties.
For bachelor's, yes. I'm not 100% sure how many master's students are a part of that, but yes, there is.
Okay, yeah. So, in other words, you won't be alone. There's lots of help and support for you to get you through life, not just through your studies. Then I always have to give a stern warning. If you are admitted to the MA program in Leiden and you want to come, make sure that you have a place to stay. This is no joke. There's a real serious shortage in available student housing in Leiden. I've known of people who were scammed and had to pay like 500 euros to sleep in one room with 5 other students and with one mattress on the floor. So make sure you start looking in time to find a place to stay. And please don't come to Leiden without having a place to stay within reasonable distance from Leiden. Because if you haven't found a place to stay before coming here, consider postponing commencement of your studies rather than just wing it and see what will happen. Because I've heard these horror stories of people. Leiden is a student city, and there is a lot of student housing, but there are more students than there's housing, and there's strange things happening. So please start in time. Don't do it a week in advance. Do it months in advance. Okay, more information. Everything I've told you and way, way more can be found on the master's website. Details about the admission requirements can be found there as well. If you want to know about the pre-master programs and the pre-master requirements for the various specializations, look at the e-prospectus. It's in detail there. You can also find more information about the content of the courses of the program and the content of these courses in the e-prospectus. You also find in the e-prospectus a tab for the career prospects and labor market preparation. In principle, all your questions should be answered there. If you cannot find the answer to your specific question, or you need some advice about your specific question, you can always ask these right now in the chat after our presentation. If you still have questions, or if your questions were not answered satisfactorily, you can ask our student advisor, Ms. Patsy Kasse. I like to refer to her as your second mother. She's very well liked by the students, and she's the go-to person for virtual all your concerns, whether they have to do with the program or well-being or personal life or where to go for a drink. She would know these things. Her contact details are here at the bottom of the slide. You can also find these on the master website and in the philosophy program. Okay, so whatever you do, choose wisely and choose your MA at Leiden University. So that's what I had to say about the program. And I would like to ask Lola some questions, because Lola is maybe not a typical, but very much a student in the 3PE, in the philosophical perspective on politics and the economy. So Lola, let's start. Where are you from? Who are your mom and dad? Tell us something about your background.
Yeah, well, thank you. So I'm where I always get this question, where are you from? And it's a hard one to answer because I don't necessarily feel like I'm from anywhere. But I was born in the States, but I have 3 passports and nationalities, which are also English and Italian, and spent most of my young life traveling all over the world because my parents are filmmakers.
Cool.
And I did my high school grad degree in the States. And then decided to come to Leiden from there because I always wanted to study philosophy, not necessarily always at Leiden, but I looked at all the philosophy degrees and ended up here in the end.
So why did you choose for Leiden?
I actually chose for Leiden in my bachelor's degree, so I've been here for a while. And part of the reason was the program that brought me here. I have a bachelor's degree in global and comparative philosophy, which is a very special program that Leiden offers, and really nowhere else in the world offers this, but it also has to do with a little bit about the university and the program in general. The philosophy program here in the building is just really special, and out of all the programs I visited here and abroad, I just got a feeling here that I didn't really experience anywhere else, and I actually only applied to Leiden. I knew I was gonna come here, I was gonna get here, or I was gonna postpone my studies until I could.
Yeah. But what was it that attracted you to Leiden, apart from the fact, so this program in global and comparative philosophy, this intercultural philosophy, but there was also something about the program itself, the atmosphere, or what? The
atmosphere, the building that you get to study in. I mean, it overlooks the botanical gardens, and it's just also the professors. Like, I had an open day when I first came here, and I met the professors and very all well-educated, wise people, and I was like, these are people that I want to learn from. Okay. Like, these are people that I want to get a degree from.
Yeah, clearly you haven't met me.
I did take a course with you in my bachelor's.
Okay, so you're very much a victim of Leiden then, yes. The Stockholm syndrome? No, I'm kidding. You stayed in Leiden and you went for the MA. You chose the MA 3PE.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, for certain reasons. Like, I love philosophy and I always wanted to continue studying philosophy, but I really wanted to do something more practical. Mm-hmm. And also, I think philosophy is important when you can really apply it to what's going on in the world, how you're living, why people are living like this, why people are doing certain things. And that's a little something I was missing in my bachelor's. Like, I love my bachelor's and I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but I did a little bit miss the really practical aspect of this is why things are happening in the world. And when I learned about the 3PE program, like, it was all there. Like, that for me was like, this is really where I'm gonna get a practical application of philosophy in the world and talk about things that I really care about, like climate change and global justice and human rights. And this is all something that gets discussed, not necessarily only in a philosophical way, but also in a really interdisciplinary way, which is really relevant to really talking and discovering why we're dealing with such problems in the world.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. So you just started, right?
I did.
You're a month into the program?
A month and a half.
Yeah, okay. So the first 6 weeks, how have they been?
Great, actually. I mean, I'm more than happy. I was, maybe I felt a little bit thrown into the deep end right off the bat, just because at first I was a little bit like, this is less philosophy than I'm used to and very political science, and I'm learning a lot of history, and I was like, so many new things to deal with, but I really, really enjoyed it, and also really just feel like a level of confidence that I didn't have in my bachelor's, a level of the professors are like, you are here to learn, tell me what you think about this, and we're going to discuss it together and really have an atmosphere where everybody's going to contribute to class because you're here, because you should be and you want to be.
Did you find that your bachelor's, so your background in philosophy, is of particular help, or does it elevate you in preparation above other students?
I mean, yes and no to some extent.
Okay.
Like, so I think, as it is always in philosophy, it depends.
Philosophical answer.
You have to love that answer. But yes, to an extent where I really feel like, since the readings maybe are less complex in a philosophical way, that I have a better grasp and aspect to like very much comprehend this. And when you do get into philosophical things, then I know about them. You know, we're going to talk about Hobbes's relation to politics, and you know, it's something I've learned about before, where someone who doesn't have such an in-depth background in philosophy might not know that. And so it does in some sense give me an elevation to be able to critically think and analyze texts to a certain extent, but I also am sitting next to plenty of students that didn't have a background in philosophy, and I would not say that like they have an up because they know the background of political science and the history background. And so I think that it really puts us all on a similar level, because maybe I'm able to contribute to conversation more in a philosophical level, but less on the political science level. And having all those different kind of students in a room really elevates the conversation in a way that it wouldn't if you didn't.
And while we're at it, how does MA study compare to BA study?
I think it is different. I mean, I wasn't maybe expecting it to be quite different, because for me, it didn't necessarily feel like I was starting an MA, because I'm studying in the same building I did my bachelor's with. I mean, I see professors around that I did my bachelor's with. I know a lot of people. I know the place, so it wasn't like settling into a new city for me. But I do have to say, like, the reading is a lot more, but also the way you're asked to analyze and really have your own opinion and understanding of the text and contribute that to the class to develop other people's opinion and understanding is to a much higher level. But I think with a bachelor's degree under your belt, you're also very capable of doing so.
Actually, it's lovely to hear this, because that's exactly the educational philosophy. So philosophy, you don't just learn in the seminar room and from your lecture or from the text, but a big chunk, maybe the majority of your learning, is from your fellow students. To see struggling with the same problems, or to hear from the fellow student with a political science background something about, I don't know, structures of power, and you can say something about the analytical content of the various distinctions. You learn a lot from each other. What has been your favorite course so far?
So, actually, to be fair, I'm enjoying all my courses, so that's a difficult question. But I'm really enjoying one course by Jonathan London, which is World Capitalism and Its Critics, because for me, I have much less of a background in economic theory and capitalism in general, and I really feel like I'm learning just so much from this course. I'm learning how to philosophically analyze capitalism and what people say about it, but also just developing my knowledge about the way the world works, which I think is really important.
Yeah, in general, if you want to improve or change the world, you better figure out how it works.
How it works, exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Of course, we're still months away from you commencing on a thesis, but do you have any idea or what it could be, what you would like it to be about?
Oh, I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I definitely think that it will broach something practical in some sense of dealing with world problems like climate change and through this lens of maybe capitalism, because I'm very interested in it, but I'm not sure. And also I'm interested in taking more courses before I necessarily have to choose.
Oh, you're one of those. Yeah.
I'm one of those.
A typical MA student who wants to do more than
needed.
Yeah. Okay, well, you still have time, so let's see what happens. And do you have any idea what you're going to do after this? What are your plans after graduation?
Well, I kind of do, actually.
Cool.
I'm interested. I've always known what I wanted to do in some sense, and it sounds very cheesy when you say this, but I've always known that I wanted to help people, do something that helps people in general. And this journey on philosophy in some ways has been for me to figure that out, whatever that is. But I'm really interested, and you guys should check it out too if you want to. I'm considering doing an internship next semester and maybe postponing my graduation a little bit to just get some real life experience working in an NGO or something else to see what that is like, putting my feet into the real world in some extent. But after graduation, I think I might want to work in an NGO or, I don't know, help workers' rights or do something like that. I also was considering some level in political office or semi-politics because I'm interested in that. Maybe a speech giver. I've been told by my professors I have an aptitude for talking to people. So,
okay,
you know,
cool.
Something like that.
Getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I think you're on a good track as far as I can tell. Do you have any advice or insights or things that might benefit people who are considering this MA program?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that you could maybe get from stuff I already said already a little bit is that, like, I mean, Bruno also, he said all these things about the requirements earlier that you need to get in and maybe you're not going to have them. And I know even me, like, in the back of my head, I knew that I was going to be directly admitted as I have a BA in philosophy at Leiden University. But even me went through the website and looked at the admission requirements, and it can be a big stretch and a big deal. But I want to say that, like, as someone now in the program sitting in a classroom with not everybody that has a background in philosophy, I don't think that should turn you away from this program, because philosophy can sound like a big thing, and I tell people I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy and I'm studying a master's degree in philosophy. They're like, oh, you're studying philosophy. Like, let's take a step back from that. And I think that this one is so practically applied that if you have other degrees and if you're interested in, even if you're going to do a pre-master's, like, that's not the end of the world. I know tons of people that did a pre-master's and are loving the program and really situated here. And I think that that's something that Leiden really allows and applies and helps people that want to get into the program get into the program. And I think that that's really powerful. So if you want to get in, figure out how to do it, because I think that you'll do just fine.
Yeah. Your background shouldn't stop you.
Yeah.
Is the general message.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Especially for this program, it's very much philosophy at its applied side.
Yeah.
So let's see if there are some questions from the chat. Elena van der Klok asked, what makes this master specialization so special? Why does this program have an own presentation besides the others? Is it a more popular master's, or does it attract a specific type of student? She's just curious. We should both answer this.
Yeah,
Let me start. So I think it is special in the sense that this is really a specialization where philosophy meets the social sciences, economics and political science especially, IR, and engages with this on a philosophical basis. And we're particularly interested in sort of the normative underpinnings of these various institutional orders. Why do we have its own presentation? Well, because it's one of the more popular specializations. The majority of our MA students do take 3PE. And also because in a way it's aimed at and caters for a slightly different public than people like Lola, who have a conventional bachelor. Well, that was not a conventional.
It was
bachelor.
Not a conventional bachelor's, but
bachelor in philosophy. We find that about half the students do have a background different from philosophy, and so and that raises a lot of specific questions, which is why we decided together with the marketing people to have a separate thing. So it does attract a specific type of student. Oh yes. Lola's type.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I can tell you just in a few words about this. Like in the when we started, there was you were there, some introduction day, and maybe 50 people in a room, and we split up per specialization. Maybe 30 of them stayed in there. Yeah. So our specialization is really the biggest. Like I have a friend who continued on to do global and comparative specialization. I think there's like 6 people doing that specialization or something. Yeah. So really there is much more people in this because of the way the program is set out, that it can have a lot more interest and a lot more people coming to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And we also noticed that this specialization attracts quite a few students from outside of Leiden. Yeah. So that's. I hope this satisfies your curiosity. Yeah. Maybe there's more questions. Sandy Cruz asked, "What is the acceptance rate for this program?" Oh, I'm really sorry. I cannot answer that. I don't have those numbers. There's a lot of self-selection going on, of course, when people see the admission requirements and then already think, oh, I don't stand a chance, or oh, this is me, yeah. Or I could do this. And also the admission process, especially for those who do not have a BA in philosophy, is a staggered process. First, your diploma, especially if it's a foreign diploma, gets awarded by central office. They will look at your transcript before passing it on to the Philosophy Board of Admissions, who will then look at the topics in your grade. Yeah. So there's and at each the step of in the funnel, as it were, people get also. So I don't know.
But I can say something, like if you're not from the Netherlands and from outside, which is something I learned when I come here, like if you meet the requirements, you'll get in. So like that's something that they don't have like everywhere else in the world, but here really, if you meet the requirements, you'll be accepted. So I'm sure, I don't know if there are acceptance rate numbers, but like that's something for you to know. Like really, it is just about meeting the requirements, and as soon as you do, you are accepted. Yeah. There's no other. Yeah,
we don't care if you're Pakistani, American, or Italian, or something. So all of the above.
Something like this.
You're admissible as long as you meet those requirements, and there's nothing about nationality. How does this master differ from the MA Moral and Political Philosophy?
Actually, I can answer that. I'm taking a class with a bunch of people, and I hate moral and political philosophy. But I think that the economic side, like moral and political philosophy, and the classes that are offered are much more normative, really getting into underlying normative issues in politics, whereas we are kind of applying it over and more through economics as well, also focusing on the political side. But there are some classes that are offered in both masters, so they do overlap.
But the MA Moral and Political Philosophy, the aim really is much more philosophical than the 3PE, in the sense that we're looking especially at topics in theoretical ethics and the foundations of normative orders. And there's little, if any, applied philosophy, whereas the 3PE
is completely applied.
It's applied political philosophy.
It's really applied political philosophy, which is.
Political science student who wants to gain more knowledge concerning philosophy, is this the right program for me? Since you just said it's more political science. No.
I might have said that, but I didn't mean it like that. I meant more for someone who has such a background in philosophy. It feels more like political science, but if you want to gain more knowledge concerning philosophy, I absolutely think that this is the right program for you. Yeah. Because really, it gets you it lands you with your feet on the ground in a way that you can get into philosophy without feeling that everything is going over your head. And we're discussing and diving into philosophical concepts that you can grasp through your political science background. And then dive deeper into philosophy. So if it's something if you want to gain more knowledge, I think that this is really the perfect program.
Yeah, especially with your background. Yeah. I think it's unless you say I really want to know about, the essence of the soul, or what Spinoza had to say about the nature of substance.
Very, very, yeah.
Then
we won't talk about.
Then we're not talking about, yes. Sandy Cruz, is it possible to extend my studies easily, for example, for an internship?
I mean, you get to choose.
Yeah.
I mean, Patsy's my biggest ally and your best friend, but like really you get to choose. I haven't done anything about it yet, but I already made the decision when I started to extend my studies, and all you have to do is say, I don't want to write my thesis this semester. I mean, the monetary aspect is a part of that. If you do extend for a semester, you do have to pay another semester. But I mean, if you have that option, then yes, it's very easy.
Yeah, so basically you're in charge of your own program. That is to say, there are certain requirements that you need to, certain courses and requirements for getting a diploma, but it's completely possible to spread it out over more than 1 year if you feel like that. It is completely possible to add to it. I know quite a few MA students who take additional courses.
Or additional masters.
Yeah, even that. And as for an internship, especially for 3PE students, I recommend it actually. But then it is kind of hard to organize. Most people who do a really nice internship, like a successful one that sort of gives you an idea of how to work with this material in practice, do it sort of consecutive to their studies. So they do all their coursework, maybe they even finish up their thesis, but then instead of for filing for graduation, saying to the
they want to do an internship.
They just add an internship, and it's counted towards your degree, so it appears on your transcript. You can put it on your CV, part of your studies, but it's sort of it's additional. So in that sense, yeah, it's totally possible to extend your studies. It's really up to you. Peter asks, can you tell me what kind of research skills can we acquire in the program? Is its methodology stays within a normative background or mostly takes the social science positive perspectives? Wow. What do you think?
Research skill acquired, is it methodology?
I have a view on that.
Yeah, you go first, and then I will. Go
it's a the program is in philosophy, so there's a heavy emphasis on the normative background, and the kind of methodology is in a sense hermeneutical, trying to make sense of it, trying to understand of it, and once you do that, evaluate it. No, it's not a positivist social science perspective. That, by the way, most social sciences are not positivist in that sense either, but that's neither here nor there. As for specific research skills, well, I can be very down to earth. You'll learn, whether you want to or not, to read text analytically.
Yeah.
You will learn, whether you want to or not, to figure out what is the essence of a very complicated text, what is the fluff and what is the core. You will learn how to formulate that in a concise and understandable manner. You will learn how to find sources for the kind of questions you ask, both in the social sciences, including economics, and in philosophy. I don't know, have you been bored by the library guys already?
Oh yeah, but only because I had that talk like 3 times in my bachelor's.
Yeah. So we drilled it into
you really will know how to find resources.
And then things which are, I'm not quite sure whether they're research skills, but they're definitely skills, things like presentation. Writing, it's heavily focused on writing. I think every semester, every seminar, you have to write at least 1 substantial paper, probably more.
2.
Yeah, 3 if you're unlucky.
3 if you're unlucky.
Yeah.
Or writing once a week if you have that as well.
If I'm your teacher, it's once a week. I'm sorry.
It's just good for you. It helps you grow and learn.
Yeah, but it's so in that sense, it's quite intensive. What you'll not learn is statistics, doing SPSS or statistical programs like that.
Thank goodness. I have one other extra thing to say about this. I think one of my professors said something about this that I think adds to it nicely. He said that, I mean, this is a philosophy program, but we use social sciences and political sciences and actual empirical evidence to base our philosophical perspective in the real world. And so you can't have one without the other. Otherwise, I mean, unless you want to learn about, like, I don't know, whatever this soul or like, you know, the infinite, but like in this program, since it's so practical, the reason why it includes social sciences and those kind of research methodology skills is because it is together combined with the philosophy, so we can have it be applied.
Yeah, it's philosophy meets the social sciences in that sense.
Completely.
Elena asks,
why didn't I choose Masters in Political Science? Because I like philosophy. I mean, philosophy is really important to me, and I just thought that this program met my interest in it all. Like, I like to think about why, and when you do a bachelor's in philosophy, you learn to critically, and you have background in philosophy, you critically analyze things in a way that you don't when you don't have a background in philosophy. And I think that just plain political science would have been, I would have asked why a lot. Why do we just have to do this? And so I wanted to continue with philosophy.
Well, I can say I can speculate about some topics that would come up in the Master in Political Science that might not quite appeal to you.
Yeah.
So would you be interested in parliamentary history?
No.
Would you like to know about how to analyze election results?
No, definitely not.
Would you like to know how to predict?
No.
There we go. And that's a big chunk of political science as well.
Yeah.
Anna asked, would it make sense to apply with a degree in international business, or should one do the pre-master directly? You should, in both cases, you should definitely apply, because they will tell you that you're not admitted because of international business, but they will also tell you what is missing precisely. So rather than do an entire pre-master program, it could very well be that it's only a selection of the courses and topics that are offered in that pre-master are required for you. That's why I said, when you if you get the nasty letter that says you're not admitted, read the fine print, because it will contain an individual advice for you as to which lacunae you need to fill in order to be admissible. Having said that, a degree in international business, it's challenging, but I think if you, I'm not quite sure how much of the pre-master you would have to. We would have to look at your transcript, but it makes sense to apply. So if you're really interested in this and are willing to spend the time, go for it. Theo asks, in semester you can do the pre-master subject, especially science, philosophy. I think I have to guess what you really meant. It depends. So if you're required to do a full pre-master for this one, that's 60 EC. If you have to do everything, so that's about a year of course topics. If it's less than that, you could do it in one semester.
Yeah.
It depends also a little bit on what specific courses you're missing and how much you're missing. And then you also ask about especially science, philosophy, and I'm not quite sure what you could mean by that. Maybe you can retype that question in the chat and we can come back to it. Okay, Sophie asked, what is meant with it? It's an applied study. To what is it applied, and does it entail that it's more practical or theoretical? No, it's applied philosophy.
Yep.
So it's philosophy as it is applied to real world
issues,
big institutional problems of justice, problems of impending crisis and
I mean, like we're talking about in one class the poly crisis, which is everything from economic crisis, climate crisis, refugee crisis, and I mean, there's like speculation on this term, but I'm using it because we're still talking about it. But like we talk about crises like this that are going on in the world, and then in what way does the way structures in society were built up, in what way does that influence this crisis? Is capitalism the reason why we have this crisis or not? Is there reasons behind this, and in what way can we philosophically analyze what's going on in the world?
Yeah, so it's practical in the sense that it's applied to human action, praxis. It's not practical in the sense that you come out of the program and you have all the wherewithal to come up with the solutions to world problems. No. You will have some intellectual baggage that helps you understand. So in that sense, it's theoretical. It's applied in the sense that it's philosophy and philosophical methods brought to bear upon these real big world problems. Yeah. For example, the migration crisis. Is that an artifact of our global capitalist world order, or is something else going on? And if it's capitalism, what exactly is it about capitalism that creates this, etc., etc.? So that's the.
And the answer is normally it depends.
And yes, that's typically a philosophical answer, because what we also find is very often that these questions are too broad and too vague, and so a big chunk of our work is done in specifying and making it more precise, and that basically gives you the analytic tools to see what's going on, or to help you understand what's going on. Yeah. Theo asked, I meant in which semester philosophical skills 1 is being... I thought it was called science 1. No, okay. So philosophical skills is indeed one part of the pre-master program. We had some experience, especially with people with little or no philosophical background, having huge difficulties writing a philosophical essay. Yeah. And that is an art or a skill, whatever. Philosophical skills, it's now called philosophical skills, not philosophical skills 1, because there's only one. So there's no need to number it anymore. And it's taught in semester 2. You could also find that in the study guide. Oh, sorry. Having said that, my apologies. There is a special section of philosophical skills, especially for the pre-masters. So all the pre-masters who start in September can take philosophical skills right away then in their first semester. And for especially for people with a deficiency, that makes a lot of sense.
And actually, in this semester, I don't know if he's always done it, but Professor Wells is offering writing workshops like 4 times during the semester in the core seminar, which is Political Foundations, Politics and Economics or something. Yeah. And he's specifically tuning these writing workshops for people who don't have a background in philosophy and can go. But I mean, even I'm going to go and see what he has to say. So I think that is.
Yeah, that's an experiment. He's done it one more time in that last year, and this year he's doing it again. Sort of in addition to the course, he takes 4 times during the semester. A time out to sort of just look at the art of writing an essay. There's a nice compliment. I love taking Bruno. That's me. I love taking your courses, ethics and political philosophy. Thank you very much. I'm wondering, what is your academic background? My academic background is quite scattered, actually. I'm an old fart. I started studying public administration. Halfway, I found out that this was not me, and I ran away by screaming with my hands in the air and did all kinds of other things. And then I thought I wanted to become a computer scientist. I took 1 course in mathematics and 1 course in logic. I dropped the mathematics and wanted to do more logic, and then somebody told me, well, if you like logic, you should do philosophy. And then I went to do philosophy, and I quickly lost interest. Well, it's not quite right. It's sort of, I still sort of on the background like logic, but I really got fascinated with ethics and political philosophy, and then especially um, sort of foundational theories of these things. And then I did a PhD on social norms. What are social norms? Why are they binding? Why do they have such a grip on people? How to understand them? And then, like Lola, I wandered all over the world. I went to the States, to Australia, to Germany, ending up in Leiden. That's my academic background. By the way, that's not an unusual background. Most of the teachers in the 3PE have,
that's true.
In addition to philosophy, done something else. Political science, economics, you name it, sociology. Yeah. How heavy does the economics weigh in the MA? Where in the MA does the part come in? Well, we have 2 economics-y courses that are explicit in economics, and the other one's capitalism, world capitalism and its critics. They are both programmed in the first semester. That means that you have to take at least one. So one of your 3 electives will be economics-y. By the way, real economists who would look at these courses
would not say they're economic-y.
Exactly.
No, and I can say if you're coming from a background that doesn't have to do with maths or economics, like for me, and I hate maths, and there's a reason why I study philosophy, can't do anything with numbers, it's very graspable, and you quickly learn. For example, I'm doing the world capitalism and its critics, and you quickly learn that capitalism is economics and everything and beyond. So it really all intertwines, and so yes, while you do need to get into economic theory, and I do have one course background in economic theory for my minor, because I did a minor in sustainable development, and so I had basic knowledge of economic theory, which I do have to say has helped me. But even if you don't have that, it's very graspable if you do a little research and like, what does this mean in economics, and then you just need to know a few basic things, and that's all. Yeah, so the little economic insights that are necessary, especially in ethics and economics, when they, for example, talk about global trade or taxation or things like that. There's a little bit of economics in there, but it's done in such a way that it's very understandable for the layperson, and that's enough, because we're not interested in the precise mechanisms and mathematics. We're more interested in the normative underpinnings of these regularities. So it's mostly in semester 1, and then depending on your interests, it can come back with a vengeance in your thesis. If we want to stay in the academic field, I mean research, academic education, of applied philosophy and politics, should we go for the 2 years program, or this PPE will be enough with that? Oh, Peter. Okay, so the question is basically is taking this MA degree a good preparation for a academic career? What is necessary almost necessary for an academic career is that you have a PhD. All MA programs, in principle and formally, in theory, and to some extent in practice, give you access to a PhD program or degree. Now, it very much depends on the specific PhD program, project, trajectory, whether or not the 3PE program will be good. I have one student from I think the second batch of 3PE students, Manuel Valente, who last year finished his PhD in Belgium. I was on the committee. It was so nice to see your own children graduate, as it were. And so that and take O'Leary in Leeds, another student of ours is doing a PhD. As about whether you should go for the 2-year program, I'm not sure. The 2-year program is strict, but we'll get to that at 5 o'clock. I'll present more about it. The 2-year program is not a research master, and in the Netherlands, the thing we tell ourselves is that the research masters are the things that
give you access to a PhD program. Having said that, in practice, it's all over the place. It really depends on how good you are. I think that's the main message. It depends on how good you are, because going into a PhD, going into research, academic research, is fiercely meritocratic, and many people apply, and just few for a few people. Yeah. If you want to know more about that, there's a PhD website on the philosophy website of Leiden, of the Faculty of Humanities. You can read more about what kind of requirements you need to meet in order to start on a PhD trajectory. Well, it looks like we have exhausted a lot of questions, which is good, because we also almost exhausted our time slot.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's exciting.
Well, in that case, thanks for watching. Thanks,
Yeah.
Lola, for
Thanks for
doing
having
this.
me.
And I hope to see at least some of you in Leiden, either in February or in September. And thanks for your good questions and your attention for this presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.